motion. 89.
And he's got bad ankles and bad knees.
Still second down.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to double team him here. They're going to start. Here's Jumpy Gathers, and you're going to see Anton Davis. You see, he just tries to cut him there, and then the center comes over the top of him, Dave Alexander. That's one way that you don't get forklifted and you don't get arm over. Cut and flop on.
2nd and 15. The forward shuffle to James Joseph. That little shovel pass, that's a familiar sight here in Atlanta, because they called a similar play against the Falcons last week and called it intentional grounding.
Yeah, that's one of the big plays and out of that run and shoot for the Falcons to Craig Hayward is that shovel pass. And like you said, against Denver, they threw the shovel pass and they didn't recognize it as a forward pass.
3rd and 8. Herschel Walker is the lone back. Cunningham to throw it. Gets it up the middle to James Joseph. That'll be enough for a first down. There are no flags. It'll be 1st and goal for the Eagles at the Atlanta 9.
Yeah, now the Eagles are just starting. You know, I mean, there's 4 minutes, 52 seconds left to go in the half, and you feel that they're just starting to get a little rhythm going now. I mean, they had none at all in the first quarter and very little in the first half of this second quarter.
1st and goal from the 9. Fred Barnett checks out. Walker wants a timeout.
Well, they don't have enough guys in there. Fred Barnett checked out and only left 10 guys in there. What the heck's going on?
I'm not
hard
sure.
enough to play with 11, but you can't do it with 10.
7-0 Atlanta.
Devon's about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. I think the other guy was supposed to be right there, and it was probably Charlie Gardner, because they were going with 2 tight ends up on top, a split receiver down on this side, Calvin Williams. In fact, here is the formation right now.
And except Garner's there now.
As Garner's there. So now they got 11. Now you can run the play call.
That's Garner, the ball carrier. Or was Cunningham with a great fake. Faked everybody. Not quite. Touchdown.
Ball, please.
Yeah, that was the bootleg. Remember, he tried to run that one earlier. He tried to run it to his left side, and Chris Dolman got him. And this time he's going to run a bootleg to the right. Now, in a bootleg, what you do is you fake to the backs going this way, then you go opposite of the way your backs go. You'll see him come out. You see him fake to Garner that way, then he comes out this way. Now, he has an option here. This is an option pass or run. He could either throw it to Joseph. If Joseph is covered and they back off to cover him, he runs the ball.
About a foot away. That won't do it. That was Joseph. Brings up a 3rd and goal.
Watch the penetration here. You see up on top, there's Clay Matthews. He gets in there, and he gets the thing that made Joseph stop and go around by getting that penetration. Clay Matthews ended up about 5 yards in the Eagle backfield.
They still need about a half yard. On 3rd down. Touchdown. Cunningham.
Well, Cunningham can leap. You know, some quarterbacks will take a step and they'll try and find a gap and they'll go underneath the rush. Randall Cunningham just took the snap and went airborne. What he's going to do here is just take the snap, and instead of going underneath the pile or slide to the right or the left, just dive over the pile. Let them all go down, and you go up. Now the ball has to break the plane. It looked like the ball just barely touched the plane that time.
Just barely. Eddie Murray's extra point is good. And we have a tie score at 7-7. Both touchdowns as the result of turnovers.
And a couple big plays there by Randall Cunningham that that bootleg run, you know, that option run was a big one, and then, of course, he quarterback sneaked it in himself. But you can just feel that the Eagles, you know, didn't have anything going at all, and then they started to get a little rhythm going here at the end of the half. See, he just takes off. Now, he knows that on goal line, everyone wants to go down. You want to get down low. Your offensive linemen get down low. The defensive linemen try and get lower than the offensive linemen. And then so Randall Cunningham knows that. So he said, if they're all going to get down low, I'll just get up over them.
He came very close to not breaking that plane. But that's all you have to do.
Yeah, he just barely touched that plane.
You're looking down the line at this.
In fact, I think the Falcons lined up offsides anyway. See, again, all the ball, here's the plane. You know, it's the first plane right there, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but you go down there and you can see that it did break the plane. Because it's a, you know, it's a wide plane, but all it has to break is that first part of the wide plane.
Murray's kickoff will be short, handled by Clarence Bergan. Tackled at about the 34. Right now for McDonald's game break, let's return to James Brown in our Hollywood studio.
All right, Pat, Tampa Bay intent on not losing its 7th straight. Craig Erickson, plenty of time, good protection up front as he finds Courtney Hawkins left side of the end zone. Tampa Bay leading Minnesota 14-6, less than 3 to play in the first half. Back to Atlanta, Pat and John.
Zeke Bratkowski in conference. First and 10 at their own 35 for the Atlanta Falcons. Jeff George, the quarterback. Crossing pattern to Ricky Sanders. First down, Atlanta. Outside the 45, about the 47.
Remember Ricky Sanders with the Washington Redskins, caught so many passes. June Jones remembered him from the USFL and using that run and shoot and wanted him to be one of his slot backs.
First and 10. George. Incomplete. Intended for William Thomas. Sorry, William Thomas was the defender.
William Thomas almost intercepted that ball, and had William Thomas intercepted, he would have ran it all the way.
Yep.
Watch him. He's a good linebacker. Number 51 has good speed, loves to run and cover. I mean, he was out there. He had good coverage, and it looked like the ball went right between his hands. But when you look again, he was just trying to swipe it, I think, with his right hand.
Second and 10. Intercepted again by William Thomas.
And George was throwing that ball.
Flag on the play, downfield.
Yeah, Andy Harmon was right at George's feet, so George couldn't step in. He couldn't step into that ball and put anything on it. Again, because Andy Harmon was there, took that away from him. It died on him. And then William Thomas was there again in good coverage.
Here's a conference. Moving conference.
I hate these things. If they're going to do this, they ought to go back to instant replay. They really should. The officiating this year has been as bad as I can remember it in a long time.
Pass interference. Defense. First down.
Against the Eagles. Yeah, if you're going to have a meeting to discuss it and a vote.
Yeah, what they ought to do is, I mean, call it, and then that's what it is, but you don't have to have a conference about it. I mean, that's a launch job. That guy saw something on the other side of the field, and he just launched that thing.
So it's first down, Atlanta, at the Eagle 38. 7-7 time. George. Out of bounds. Mathis got a hand on it.
Yeah, we talk about William Thomas and the plays that he makes. And talking to him last night, he says that he loves these kind of games because he loves to run. And that's what the run and shoot is. They're going to be 4 wide receivers rolling out, throwing all the time. And he says this is his type of game because he's kind of a little undersized linebacker. So you see the big guys, we've seen very little of the fridge today. I mean, big old guys that, plug runs and stuff don't play against run and shoot. Guys like Kurt Grossman is in there now play. William Thomas. They're big when you play a run and shoot.
Because they can run. Gary Pegram. The draw play stopped by Andy Harmon. That play, that trap that they've run a couple of times, and the screen are really their running offense.
Harmon just led with his head right into the turf.
Don't forget to be with us next week at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Dallas plays these Philadelphia Eagles. Washington against Tampa Bay. Then John and I'll be in San Francisco as the Falcons play at Candlestick. The Giants visit Cleveland, Green Bay, Detroit, New Orleans, the Rams, Arizona, and Houston next Sunday. Check your local listings.
Well, there's a lot of games on Fox next Sunday. There's Bobby Hebert. Bobby Hebert's in the middle there. June Jones with the headset talking to Jeff George. Now Bobby Hebert's talking to Jeff George.
He is a tough guy, Bobby Hebert.
Yep, and there's another guy who, if he got hot on you, could make a lot of plays. And there's a guy who I don't think he's played today. I don't think the fridge is
a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, he hasn't been in there much. Well, if the fridge isn't sweating, he was out early. I mean, he had. I've never seen 4 X's before. He had an X, and then he cut out an X and had another X left.
Third down. About 3. George. Incomplete. Intended for Leonard Harris. Bert Emanuel is out with a hip pointer. May or may not be back. Number 1, Jeff George. The only other number 1 that we could think of was Warren Moon. And I really can't think of another one back in the years of broadcasting and playing in the NFL.
Yeah, he said that he took number 1 because his dad told him to take number 1.
And he wanted a fresh start. Here's Norm Johnson to try from 49 yards out. Hit 5 in a row. Make it 6 in a row from 49. Norm Johnson. And the Falcons recapture the lead. 10-7.
There's a good player. The right tackle, Bob Whitfield.
Yep.
He was a number 1 draft choice out of Stanford a couple of years ago, and I really liked him when he first came into this league. And then just watching him on film, he is a good pass protecting tackle. I think working on the other side of a Mike Ken helps, because came in here to a team that has a great technician as a left tackle, and Bob Whitfield is a good technician now as a right tackle.
Whitfield in his 3rd year is still just 22 years old.
Yeah, he was like he had to be like 20 years old when he came out. He's blind in one eye, and there was talk about whether or not he would be able to adjust to the pass protection and playing in the NFL. And he said it never bothered him before, and it's not bothering him now. And there's Whitfield right here, and there's Mike Ken sitting side by side. And like I said, if you're going to learn pass protection from anyone, Mike Ken would be the guy at the top of the list that you'd want to learn it from.
Whitfield has already learned it well. Herschel Walker. Tripped and airborne to about the 22. Tripped up by Dwayne Gordon. 2 minutes left to play in the first half with Atlanta on top 10-7. Georgia Dome. It is Atlanta 10, Philadelphia 7. Coming up on the Dockers halftime, James and Terry will have all of today's scores and highlights from around the league. Plus, we'll look at the NFL's most spectacular plays in the latest edition of Choice Cuts. All coming up next. from the Dockers halftime.
I think that choice cut means how they're going to cut that ham hock out there in the thing. How they're going to slice that.
Well,
that'll be a choice cut.